Ron, you want to come up and sit in front of the microphone, please?
Okay. Asked to have it put on the agenda, I put it on.
I asked to have it put on the agenda because the position how much were we paying? For 14,000 a year.
Oh yeah, it's 16,280 a year.
Yeah, that was nothing near what we're.
Oh yeah, it's 16,280 a year.
Yeah, that was nothing near what we were paying grade staffers when he worked in the same position. And we were hiring him, we see something wrong, we can let Debbie know, and she can send a note to the person, or whomever, and ask them to, resolve this different. So I'd like to hear, council, what they think of this. This is what I asked to be put.
Job at keeping on a lot of people and keeping their property up, not just because of the storms we've had. Plus the fact is that he's lenient with a lot of people. He at least, if there's something wrong with their property, he gives them at least 30 days to correct it, and then he gives them another 15 days before any action is really taken as far as back for Dover. Because I used to live down there. They give you 3 days to correct your problem, or else you have a summons. So he's doing a great job. Plus he gives us.
The town, and that's what he done. But for us to use taxpayer monies for something the council could do, because we live right here, and she doesn't even live in our town.
Well, he's doing a great job, and we should be glad to have him on board with us.
And not a taxpayer's expense, though, Mayor.
Well, the whole thing is he's keeping our town clean. I mean, a lot of people will vouch for it.
That's why we're elected officials to the town.
That's
That's
exactly it. Because of the fact
speaking for people in town that I have had call me too, so that's why I asked it to be put on the agenda too. And also, Debbie does his reports, so there's more time that Debbie has to take away from her home. That's time too for our town that we're losing taxpayer money too.
But the whole thing is he not doing his job, or is he doing his job?
We did not have the job before, but it's not worth $14,000.
Well,
it's not even a part-time job.
Well, before we sure didn't need the job, and he's done a great job.
Now we don't. Looks good again.
And that's because of his work, the diligent work that he does. Plus, he goes to court. If it has to be, he goes to court for us too. That's also part of his job.
Yeah.
Yep, he's on top of the ball. He's on top of it. Anybody else has anything else to say?
That would save the town money for a job position that wasn't even there before. And then when we did have it, the person was only getting $50 a month.
Well,
That's a lot more money.
Well, Ron is on top of it. That's all I can say. He's doing a great job.
What's council saying there?
A lot more.
Do they have it?
Yes, a lot more. Yes, a lot more.
The average property maintenance code where I've been working for 25 years is between $30,000 and $50,000.
I'm sorry.
Can't hear you.
You'll have to pull that mic over to you.
The
Yeah.
average salary for a property maintenance inspector is between $25,000 and $30,000. I accepted this
What
job.
towns are those?
Excuse me.
We're the smallest municipality in New Jersey. What towns are
Glen
those?
Ridge, North Cornwall, Dover.
Dover,
Yeah,
yeah.
we're a very small municipality.
I understand that. But when I got here, you hired me, spent many hours in court. Many hours. If you want to send Debbie to court, that hours you're taking away. Debbie, my control person, was hired specifically for the property maintenance. But you use her for other
On
long
Mondays, how many
time.
times a month on Mondays have you gone? This past couple of months, the past 2 months.
How many times? I don't go to court. I have to appear to the prosecutor. I have to talk to the prosecutor. And I don't allow you in court.
Mondays did you have?
But that's 3 to 4 hours at a time.
I'm trying to save the town money of a position that we never had before, that we as council could be doing it.
That's what it is. That's the way it was written.
Yeah, that's
Has nothing to say, pertaining to this, $16,000 a year?
Yes.
I think it should be in a closed meeting.
Like whether he wants
Yeah.
it personal or open, he
Well,
said,
And the whole thing is he not doing his job? Can't fire somebody, can't get rid of somebody because they're not doing the job.
Now the town is cleaned up, and I just wanted to dissolve the position. Council can do the position. I didn't say Ron keep that.
Council can't do the position.
That before.
Council can't do the position.
Why can't they? There's no licensing, nothing, whatever.
And the
Council can do that.
this question to you is, are you willing to pay the person you hire the insurance for? If you pay a pension, that's a big nut. So is the medical.
You know, that's just like council. We don't get paid pension or none of that either. That's why it's job council can do.
He's continuing to keep it clean. And he gives us a report every month.
Councilman Glass, what are your feelings about this?
Council,
You heard nothing.
He's probably watching it at home because somebody's watching it.
Do you need any certification to do the job?
Do I need a certification? No, sir.
That's
you there?
You're a Superior Court.
Okay, what happened? I guess we must have got this guy.
I have a question. Did we ever authorize Ron to go after the illegally parked cars?
No, we
What do you
didn't.
mean illegal? You didn't authorize me to.
No,
That's police.
that's all police.
Okay.
Ron can do it if they're on private property.
Okay.
We've had letters that sent out for parking on private
Right.
property. You have an ordinance for parking.
Yes.
What?
Stop clicking.
Doing his job,
Probably didn't
not
hear
doing
anything.
his job or what? Keeping the town clean.
First of all, did you hear anything?
I think it's fine.
Did you hear on top
What
of
was-
Yaskin?
Yes,
Yeah.
Did he hear?
yes.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
May I ask a question? Because you got a letter,
You're gonna have.
Speak
to-
up.
Can you talk
is
into
this
the mic?
because you got a letter from me for property maintenance? So we're bringing this all up?
Did you hear Monty?
What did he say?
I said, is this has to do with the letter I sent you regarding property maintenance?
A letter you sent me.
Regarding property maintenance.
When? Do I join you? No, I haven't been home.
That's true.
So I did not receive a letter. I asked for this to be put on the agenda for a while. Receive your letter on July 20th or 21st, whenever you say you sent it, because I haven't received my mail yet.
Well, you're white in this town.
Clearly
I
that's right.
resent it. I tell them to call the mayor if you have a problem, or any councilman, or councilwoman. Now, I spent a lot of time, do I complain to you, or anybody else in this council about how people harassing me? I knew this when I took the job. I didn't want this job originally. The town or did you want me let go? And now does this have to do with that?
To save money
Yeah.
for a position that's not necessary, is not needed anymore.
That's,
The job that council can do.
I don't think our council can do that.
Council's supposed to talk for the people, not themselves.
The problem was when the person lived in town, he didn't do the job because he didn't want to embarrass people.
That's right.
I was told that outright.
Who wants to embarrass people?
Property maintenance record, excuse me, before I got here. You can review my record anytime you want for violations sent out.
Yeah, I'll get them from Debbie since she's the one that writes them up.
So what are we doing?
Well, I was just saying we need to save the town money. The town looks good. Okay, and it's up to council now.
Doing his job, he's not neglecting his
The
job.
rest of the council, you're
That's the
the mayor.
mayor speaking of. There's no say.
He's just, the man is just doing his job.
So now that we get some some weather with a little rain, because I've let lots go because the people have beautiful wild asters on their lawn. We have many with over 10 inches. Again, I've let it go because, and again, I sent out letter violation notice. I don't take them to court unless I have at least 2 violations. At least 2 violations. I solved that problem.
I'm fine with it. Well, do you wanna do a motion or something? Ani, do you wanna do a motion?
And it's too much for someone that's not even part-time for our small town.
Cut it now.
Or something?
Is anybody dissatisfied with Ron's job? His performance?
No one said his performance was safe.
Did he send me the class violations? He's doing his job well.
I understand, the property values have risen in Victory Gardens since I got here. And not have gone down. Before, they were very low. And that's one of the reasons you hired me, to see if we can clean it up and get the property values. And we see that for the sales that are going on.
Right.
Again, I tracked down mortgage foreclosures. It takes me months to get to find out whose mortgage in order to get the property cleaned up. I've spent over a year and a half on one property so far. Whether I do it here, or you call me at home, sometimes the people out there out in Minnesota, I have to call my computer to find out who's starting it.
Right.
Nobody ever did that before. And there's a state law that says we require, so this, the state law requires us to do it.
Right.
So, we looked at just look at one of the streets, I think it's Monroe. We had 5 houses, we're foreclosed. It took me over 8 months to find out. Finally got it cleaned up and it was sold within a week.
Hey, did he find that out in the census?
The property values are up.
Right.
Is he done?
I see them read their realty skips, we see them read the paper. I make it up.
As long as not pinpoint specific individual, I'm okay with that. If he does it generally, fairly to everyone. So I keep my property as clean as I can. So I expect everyone to do the same. So if he's doing the job, so if it's something else included into this discussion that we don't know about it, then we should address that on a closed meeting with the wrong thing, who wants it to, and see the difference between Tony and him, actually, at this point. So that's where I stand at.
I would like to make a motion to maintain things as they are.
Can't hear you.
You have to pull that mic up to you closer so we can hear.
I would like to make a motion to maintain things as they are.
I can't do it.
Vera is making a motion to keep things as they are currently. Is that correct, Vera?
Roll call?
Councilman Glass?
Yes.
Now you're voting yes to say to keep things as they are.
Correct. Thank you for
Okay.
reiterating that.
All right, Councilwoman Hitchpad? Yes. Councilwoman White? Councilman Lorenzo?
I say yes.
Councilwoman Garcia Montez?
No.
Oh, yes.
Thank you, Ron.
You'll get your question.
Okay, next, old business housing officer. Thank you, Ron.
So, council asked that we put this on to the last meeting in July, as to whether or not you wanted to hire a housing officer. The ordinance is to establish the position of housing code enforcement officer for the borough of Victory Gardens and identified in the revised general ordinances as section 2-14. Now everybody's,
I think we should still wait because we still don't have all the information from the school.
Right.
We only have 20, how many students have moved out total?
I think it's, what did I say, 18 or what did I say in that?
What is that?
You said 13.
14 children have moved out,
14.
and that's total, correct?
Yes, as of, their children, and so far we've registered 37 children.
And we still have like over 200 that you're waiting to register.
Yes,
And you're still waiting on the school to get back to on the taxes, because they did admit in the
Yes.
school board meeting that there was an error.
yes.
So we're still waiting for them to get back to us
And
about.
and we're still waiting for some information that we asked for when Attorney Feintuck, the mayor, and myself attended that meeting. Their issue is that right now, they have until Friday to figure out what they're gonna do with the schools. If they're gonna open them, if they're gonna open them partially, which is what I'm feeling they're doing by what they were saying. But they have to, I guess, send a plan to the state, and they have to have it finalized by Friday.
But what about the financial officer correcting that, the mistake that he's saying that he made in that budget?
Can you speak in the microphone, please?
He, said that during the school board meeting, their last meeting, that there was a mistake.
Right.
And they're trying to figure it out.
Right,
So when do we find out?
as soon as they figure it out.
We gotta give them a time limit, because then we can't.
Well, we've, like I said, about the 6th, 7th, and 8th grade bus to Eastover, and they wanted to look into some information on that. And right now, we're just waiting. Hopefully, next week we'll hear something, because they have to have their plan finalized by Friday.
It has to be a significant mistake.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So it might not be $700, it might be a $200 tax rate for us, going up $200 versus 9%.
Okay.
I think that the registration certification that we have,
Debbie, you've been all over the schools, you pretty much did everything that that person could do. And that's money that the town's saving to let people get their buses.
Proof that they live here.
Yes.
Show us birth certificates. If anybody comes in that says they're a legal guardian, they have to bring legal paperwork.
Okay,
So they've been coming in with their information.
okay. Yeah, I don't think we need to hire.
Is that person, if you decide to do it, would go into these areas where we have the overcrowding and where there's a lot of people in there, whether they're children or not. You know, just to measure the rooms and bring them up to code as far as our ordinance goes.
There is an ordinance goes to be, the houses are not up to code for measurements, because our houses are army barracks. You know, so I don't feel as though that we need to hire a housing person who come in.
I don't know, I would say the registered certification that we're providing now for the enrollment, which you beginning to see it, they're coming in and signing in.
Right.
That's what we need to do, and keep track of that really close, and maintain that, providing that we get all the information for the children that get registered.
Right.
Okay, and at this point, bringing an officer to get into people's houses, I'm not as it is. To get somebody else to get into their houses and start making more, turning things around, at this point, I think it's not gonna let this system work. Let's work on this system, the registration first, use it as a pilot plan for this year, find out if it works. 14 families already moved. Something going on with those 14 families already, that they move out of here.
Yeah, something went wrong because they were told that they couldn't have that many people in there.
That's the beauty about that. So that means the system will work. The idea would be to keep the system tied up, including Dover, making sure that Dover follow the system over here too.
Well, I agree to some extent, but we also have to look at it and say, we've only gotten a certain amount of people in so far.
Right.
Dover's gonna be sending out notices or do it through their system to let the people know to come get their bus passes. Like, doesn't necessarily mean that they're all gonna come in here. We can only ask them to come in here.
But if they get the passes, they should come over here regardless. Why they gonna get passes without coming?
They have a form
Right.
from us.
Then
They have to be on board with that. They can't give them a bus pass without
no
that.
passes and
Right, well, we told them that.
Yeah.
no pass. Then we put the pressure on Dover. No passes unless they get the information here first.
But as Dover told us in our meeting, we can't deny any child. That's a law.
Yeah, there's a lot of people from Victory Garden, they can still go to, they can still
I'm
go
sorry?
to school without getting a bus pass.
If they're not on a lease, they shouldn't be there.
Well,
We're not denying a person.
Right.
We're just making sure that everyone.
to, the people in the apartment complexes, and they went by the leases and they sent out, I think it was 14 or 16 letters to people that do not have those children listed on their, they can't be kicked out. So with the COVID and everything, you can't just get them out of there.
Legally and
So everybody's kind of sitting with their hands tied.
Concept then to, for them to not be able to allow a housing officer in their residence for the same reason, when they not letting them in there, they don't have to let them in there.
No, they don't have to, because of everything that's going on. But yeah, we can put it off.
I agree with
This till next year
Mr.
sometime.
I agree with him.
I'm sorry, Ani?
I motion that we table this till next year sometime to get the paperwork and everything from Dover.
Councilwoman Garcia Montez said she wanted to table this until sometime next year, because with everything going on, we need to figure out what we're doing as far as the kids go. With the people coming in here, to fill out the registration forms, is that right, Ani?
But
No,
the children coming in here, I think they should start this year coming through the budget.
before they give them the passes.
Well, I don't think a resolution is gonna do it. We talked to them about it at the meeting we had. It's not there, so they have a new transportation person. And I met with her yesterday, and I gave her the form that we had.
Last meeting, but you're missing the year that they sending the children form to, and you also adding in the form that one student sign up that one, you got three over here, three other children, no?
Yes.
Okay,
Where on the form itself, we are putting down what what ID they're bringing into, and then we're getting their names and the grades that they're in.
and the school that they're going to,
Well,
I didn't see a signature for the parent, no, I filled
well,
in the
no, the
form.
parents are filling it out.
So,
No,
They
they're
just
printing
give
it
you the
out and
information that they
everything.
provide.
Well, no, they're
That's it.
filling everything out, and they're putting their name on it. You can all the information we're taking from them.
but the more detail that we get, probably the better.
Right.
In case that if we gotta track it down, what to do that? So a year or two from now, we'll be able to track it down clearly, whereas every children.
Have a seat.
Good evening, my name is Victor Husbands, 72 Monroe. I've been a homeowner for about 6 years now there. First time coming in, people making a lot of noise. I mean, I understand you like your music, I'm fine with that. But there's an ordinance, play your music low. I shouldn't have to call the police because they got more important things to do. 4th of July was over, 4th of July. I got a text. Monroe, 72 Monroe.
What part of Monroe is that? Monroe's three parts, isn't it?
It's the
That's
second
the
part.
The middle.
It's right next to Lincoln Home. I lived in Morris Township for 20-something years, almost 30 years. I bought people from Morris. I moved over here, and I love this neighborhood. All the noise and nonsense. I mean, I could be forgive me, a bitch. Eddie did a great job. They painted a yellow line by my house. There's a fire hydrant. Every day somebody going to park in front of my house. And it's almost a foot, they're blocking my driveway. I've had people come down my driveway while I'm laying in my bed, and I've got security cameras around my house. Because I park, we still respect the property.
Right.
Integrity is doing the right thing when no one's looking.
That's right.
And you need to respect that. I don't block anybody's driveway. I don't make a lot of noise. I just cut my grass. I take him a little tomato. It's ridiculous. And like I said, I shouldn't have to call the police because they got more important things to do. When there's an ordinance, just follow it.
Those people have to call the police.
And again, that's something I don't want to do, but because they've got more important things to do.
Sure.
You know, but I could call it every Saturday night, but they've got things to do as well too. And it's not like people don't know that you shouldn't be doing this.
Right.
And it isn't just like, and boom, boom. And, I mean, I work, I gotta get up in the morning too. I don't start my lawnmower until 8 o'clock on weekends, 8:30,
Right.
to make sure that I don't bother. Doesn't do that.
Right.
But the other ones around, you know, it's frustrating. And I can be a real.
Have you attempted to, I'm sorry.
To.
I've called the police one time since I've been here in 6 years. I've called the police one time.
Have you attempted to speak to them in person?
The people, whether it's English or Spanish, you send it out.
Right.
It doesn't take a minute to say, you know what, whoa, okay, we can't do this. You know, it's just courteous, you know what I mean? I mean, again, I like music too, but I'm home, I relax. That's my noise. But I don't want to hear your noise.
Right.
10, 2 o'clock at night.
I do have a flyer that I did today that we're going to do again about the noise. I mean, I have it out there on my desk if you want to read it so you know what I've said in there. But I ended up calling the police on well, not my neighbor, it looks on the other side of Polk Avenue. Because I could hear it all the way up until 2 o'clock in the morning.
I mean, it was ridiculous. I mean, you know, I mean, and again, I think not respected because again, I spend a lot of money taking care of my property. You know, I work hard. I'm going to retire pretty soon. And I just want to relax and have a good time. I don't like you playing the music, but God, please respect me. I respect you, you know.
Right.
And it's nothing difficult.
Thank you.
Thanks again.
Because that's the Elder Street is a problem.
That should be on 15 Franklin Road. I had a question about this whole maintenance thing that you said, property maintenance on today. We have a council member who's not following the rules, and yet he's not received any violation or any zoning violation. How come that's not being enforced?
Who's that?
You want me to name names?
Yes.
Jim Glass. You go back to his property, you can see he's got 12 inches of grass growing back there. And multiple sheds, which he's had there for years. If I put a second shed in, I get a notice of violation. So how come that's not being enforced? And if you're doing property maintenance, enforce it equally. That's what you're talking about. But you're not enforcing it equally when you give a councilman a pass by and say, well, we're not going to look at that. Even though the residents can see the violation. I mean, it's pretty clear. I don't mean to pick on them, but, you know, you guys are the elected officials. You're supposed to set an example for us. Now, right, right, it should not be picking and choosing that we want to pick on. It should be everybody across the board. Now, I was looking at some old paperwork on some liquor license brought up for the public to even voice any concern. Because I looked for the minutes, there are none.
Liquor licenses were brought up in, July, June.
Yeah, June 23rd, when you signed the resolution, that's when it was on the agenda. But there was no public comment period prior to the
Well,
approval.
there is a public comment period.
No, you already voted on it by the time we did the public comment.
You could have said something.
Well, it says in the resolution that there have been no objections. How could we object to something that was already passed? I mean, it makes no sense. Well, I'm going to get to the next part about that. And also, you do resolutions here because I looked through multiple towns, everybody puts in the resolution when a professional or someone is hired, how much you're spending, X number of dollars. Like, so-and-so is being hired for the year, whatever year you're in, not to exceed X number of dollars. This way, you're locked into that. And this goes for all professionals appointed in the beginning of the year. We're the only town that doesn't do that. We don't put a dollar amount in. And that's kind of amount that you're approving to appoint him. You don't wait until your budget in March to say, well, you know, that's what we're gonna pay him. You're supposed to do it like every other town. The dollar amount has to be in the resolution in the beginning of the year. Just like when you did your tax, temporary tax resolution. Other towns have done where they put in the amount of the tax and they put in what the total tax rate was that the tax assessor was using. And it's all based on public law because they have the estimated tax levy and the tax rate. Our resolution doesn't say anything.
Well, it wasn't the assessor, it was the collector.
Okay, but it doesn't matter. The resolution, when you're doing a temporary property tax billing, it should have had that information in there. All the other towns have done it.
I don't think that the reason it wasn't in there.
At a tax rate of 2.822. That's what they base
What's their resolution or whatever?
That's the resolution for the tax collector and the chief financial officer to provide estimated tax property billing for the third
If
quarter.
that's an example, did they pass this yet?
It's already been passed. This was passed, I don't know the date, it was just passed recently. It leads me up to something I found online. You remember a long time ago, we used to have 2 public comment periods, right? A lot of towns have 2 public comment periods. One before the agenda is even done for agenda items only. Then the second final comment period is for anything else. A lot of towns do it. And according to what the rule says, and this is in state law, a governmental body shall allow each member of the public who desires to address the body regarding an item on an agenda for an open meeting of the body to address the body regarding the item at the meeting before or during the body's consideration of the item. I know it sounds like that's legal mumbo jumbo as far as I'm concerned, but that basically just says public has a right to talk about something before you vote on it. But once you vote on it, you can't go back and undo it. Makes no sense. And maybe something from the public could help you in determining whether or not you want to vote for it.
We voted on that years ago.
You voted to remove the first part of the public hearing.
We voted on to have
Now you did.
open to the public as we do now.
No, yeah, you did, because you removed the first part of the open public. But the first part of the open public was for agenda items only. I don't know why you don't understand that. It was not to come up here and speak on the end of the meeting when the public can talk about anything. That part was only for an agenda item. I mean, a lot of towns approve things on their agenda that could be this long. But the county does the same thing. You have a right to speak about anything they vote on before they vote on it.
And what is the time frame on those 2 periods?
Well, that's selected based on the town.
What is it?
Right now, it'd be 5 minutes.
No, it's 3 minutes.
No. Every town is different. No, it's 5. Okay? Big difference. So don't say that we have a lot of people here to take up your time. 5 minutes is not a lot of time. If I was sitting on council, I'd make sure that we got rid of that time frame. But, you know,
That's your opinion, Jim.
you took away the first part of the public portion.
Now, don't you remember way back when it was abused, all of that stuff was abused? We're sitting in here at 10, 11 o'clock at night.
You never sit here till 10, 11 o'clock. You never do. When are the 3 hours on that?
That's Dover also.
But you're in and out of here in a half hour, so I wouldn't complain.
That's
tonight. But I mean, I'm saying you need to put this thing back on the agenda. This is something the council can do and vote on, because the public should have a right to speak about agenda items before you vote on it. They need to talk about it. And then you can't go back and reverse it. When was the last time you've ever listened to what the public said and went back and redid something? I think one time in all the years I've been coming here. So maybe that's something council needs to discuss.
Thank you for your opinion, Jim.
appreciate it.
Thank you, Jim.
You're welcome, Monty.
What kind of mistake was made in the figuring from Dover's, side for the, figuring of the position?
They didn't mention what the mistake was. They said in the school board meeting that's online right now that there was a mistake and that they're gonna figure it out.
So if they figure that there's a mistake and there's a reduction, are we gonna get a reduction in our tax bills?
Probably not.
Well, they're telling us, what we had mentioned before, was that we were gonna go up in our taxes $700. If they in fact made mistakes, because I did go back and I did pull out the funding formula.
found it?
But yes, I mean, if it turns out where it's not $700, it's only 200 or 100, then you would have never been billed for it because we haven't billed that yet.
You gave them the funding formula.
Yes.
What formula have they been using all the years?
I don't know. And they're telling us that, correct me if I'm wrong, they're telling us when we had a meeting with them that this just happened this year.
Administrator, this year?
Again.
This year. Okay, you're talking about cutting services for the, property maintenance. How many line items in the budget were increased even though they had a, balance from last year?
Probably all of them.
Okay, now my second question is, how many, what does the raises, how much was the raises in the budget? What did that total?
Salaries.
I couldn't tell you, you have to look that up.
You couldn't tell me.
You'll have to
Because
look
these past
it up.
years, you've been raising the budget, our taxes have been going up because you're getting raises every year. And this year especially, there should not have been any raises in the budget, especially this year with COVID and people not working and losing their jobs and not being able to do this and not being able to do that. How many of the members on this board voted no for raises?
Nobody.
I'd have to go back and look, but I don't believe anybody did.
Okay, well, I think maybe, you're trying to save money. I think you ought to go over your budgets before you approve it and cut all the fat that's in it. Thank you. Instead of trying to cut services.
Yes.
Anyone else from the public?
Thank you.
Ron, you was gonna say something before or what?
No, I've been here and listened to, you have an ordinance you haven't even started to use in regards to renters. That would have prevented all those kids going to school.
Yeah,
They have to come up onto the,
He's not a housing inspector. He's not a housing inspector. No.
You already have an ordinance. and I
He's
did
property
research for
maintenance.
these
He's not
people.
even housing.
You wanna hire this guy, you wanna hire that guy. I'm concerned about your the property and the money you spend also. But you have an ordinance that you voted on, you know, that allows you to do what you're asking us to do. You ask for a housing inspector, the state are your housing inspectors, you don't pay for it. But, if he's due every 3-4 years. He's not gonna look at your renters. He's gonna look at the condition of the property. That's what to chase too many people. You asked me about Jim Glass. Jim Glass has had a wife who's been very sick, I know that. But he also has those sheds a number of years, you can't touch it.
There's no.
It's not grandfathered. No
Why
law.
not?
There's no grandfathering in this town. The lawyer said that many times.
Well, then,
No, the
I
law.
guess we'll have to.
There's no grandfather clause.
There's no, you know, I have to talk to the zoning officer. Okay? But if you come with his wife, I'm considerate about that. Now that you brought my attention, I will certainly send Mr. Glass a notice. Councilman, I've sent numbers of letters to councilmen, and been 40 people swear here before. And it went a lot. But you have an order, I will, it's there. Was it enforced by the guy before I was here? No. because you know they're supposed to do it.
Right.
And both
Based
inspectors, you can make
on,
inspections,
experience.
or send them a letter and ask them to make an inspection. The state of Iowa does it.
Better have a good lawyer.
So, I want to bring it to your attention, here you're reversing all this time. Even ordinance says that they every $1. And nobody's enforcing it, you're worried about money. I brought that to their attention, we've been looking at this. Every town.
Time is up.
So when you have an ordinance, you have an ordinance that requires it. Nobody's enforcing.
Like, that's ridiculous. I don't care what time. Yeah, it is. It's at the time is in the ordinance, yes.
And she's talking about.
What about
Loud so far.
the or, and I'm not talking about by Victor's house, I'm talking about by mine. Sometimes it's like, I don't know, it's not like a regular speaker. I don't know if it's tomorrow and hopefully Monday they should get out there. Because we do, it's the apartments behind me.
The person, she's a nice person, her kids are well behaved, but I can't get mad at her because she doesn't even realize. She thought,
Right.
But I think the first step is at least be a friendly neighbor and just say, hey, listen, can we talk about this because it's really bothering me, or, you know, I can't.
Just wanted to get council's approval, go ahead and get them.
How many?
Two.
Okay.
Who's there?
Okay, so
Okay,
you're okay
I
with
need a
that, we're
motion.
gonna order.